Right, so it's been a little while. Nintendo Switch 2 coverage completely took over my life, but we're finally back on PlayStation, and honestly, it feels great. So today, we're going to be diving into PlayStation's massive summer PSN sale. We're going to be covering deals across the US, Canada, UK, EU, and Australia, and there is a ton of great stuff on offer right now. So what I've done is, I've narrowed it down to some of the best deals you can find. If you do find this video useful and you enjoy reviews, deals, and deep dives, subscribe. It helps a smaller channel like mine more than you know. Alright, let's get into it. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is 20% off right now, matching its lowest price on PlayStation. This is the one I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. It's a full first-person adventure that really gets what makes indie tick: the puzzles, the relics, the punch-ups in dusty tombs. It's all there, all nailed. You'll be swinging across gaps with your whip 1 minute, then clubbering a guard with a folding chair the next. It is very scrappy, it's very grounded, just like it should be. Also, the voice work here deserves a shout out. Troy Baker isn't doing an impression, he is Indiana Jones, and it is phenomenal. So yeah, basically it just works, and the whole thing has that old school kind of pacing too, a little slow in paces, but it just lets the atmosphere breathe and it makes sense for the character. So if you did grow up on the films, this is the closest we've come to actually living one, and I was myself all in from start to finish. Alan Wake 2 is down to 60% off, the lowest price it's ever hit on PlayStation. This is Remedy at their weirdest and also most confident. It is a full-blown survival horror sequel that really leans hard into meta storytelling, shifting realities, and flashlight-fueled combat. You'll switch between two characters then, FBI agent Anderson and Alan himself, with each thread pulling you deeper into haunted forests, crime scenes, full-on like nightmare logic. The atmosphere with this game is unreal. Fog rolls in thick, timelines blur together, and every corner feels just a little bit wrong. The combat then, much better than the first game. It's tense and it's focused. It's not about power trips, it's about staying alive with whatever scraps you've got. I'd also say it's one of the best looking games on PS5. The reflections, the lighting, the full-on live action, cutscenes, it all just works. So if you like horror that messes with your head as much as your nerves, do not miss this one at this price. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is 80% off, its lowest ever price on PlayStation. This sequel picks up 5 years after Fallen Order and just runs with it. Bigger planets, better combat, more freedom, and a far more confident take on what a Star Wars game can be. Now Kel's here a proper Jedi, and it shows. The lightsaber styles feel weighty and distinct. The Force powers then hit hard, and traversal's way smoother this time around. It is still very much an action-adventure at heart, but now with more flexibility, optional bosses, side areas, proper towns to explore, even some light gear customization. There's a bit of even Souls influence here, especially in how you save and respawn, but the game never gets punishing. Now, performance with this one at launch was messy, but it's in a good place now on PS5, and for this price, an easy recommendation. Silent Hill 2 is 50% off, a brand new low for the remake. The reveal didn't do it any favours. It looked clunky, stiff, like a game stuck somewhere between generations. But like hands up, I criticised it at the time, but they pulled it off. Once you're actually in it, this feels like Silent Hill 2. The fog, the sound design, the quiet dread that builds with every step. It is all here, rebuilt from the ground up, but still true to that original. Now, combat here, of course, more modern now, though it is slower and heavier, but that's intentional. It suits the tone. And while the controls do take a bit to settle in, the tension they create is very much that point. The visuals then, really impressive. The atmosphere is thick, and yeah, simply a faithful retelling of one of the best horror stories in gaming. At this price, I think it's worth diving into. Assassin's Creed Shadows is 25% off, a new low price for one of Ubisoft's most ambitious settings yet. The game's had its share of controversy, and no doubt we'll see comments complaining, but I thought it was fun. You play as two characters here, a nimble shinobi who plays closer to classic AC stealth, and then a heavier samurai with a more grounded, forceful style. Now personally, I lean towards the faster, the more traditional side, but I think the contrast works, and swapping between them gives the campaign a good rhythm. Visually then, it's a standout. Feudal Japan looks stunning, and the changing seasons affect more than just scenery. Whether you're sneaking through tall grass or walking into a one-on-one duel, it just really captures the setting, that time period, in a way that for this series in particular just feels long overdue. Also, just as a warning, I will say there's still some of that good old Ubisoft bloat, but the dual protagonist approach definitely keeps things moving. Nine Souls is 40% off a new low, and one of the most polished surprises I've played in a while. Now, this actually came out at the tail end of last year, and I had zero expectations going in, but it completely won me over. It's a 2D action platformer with Sekiro-style parrying, and it's set in this bizarre kind of cyber-mythological world inspired by Taiwanese folklore. Now, you'll be playing as a reawakened warrior, carving through a city built on secrets, with every fight demanding tight timing. The parry system in particular, razor sharp. The movement feels great, and it's all wrapped in a world that actually feels thought through. It's layered, it's full of surprises. The art direction then stands out too, with hand-drawn animation that kind of hits somewhere between Hollow Knight and Katana Zero, but feels very original. And yeah, it flew under the radar at release, but this is easily one of the most refined indie action games on the system. Still Wakes the Deep, the complete collection, is 40% off, and this is the first discount we've actually seen on the full bundle, and it includes both the base game as well as the Siren's Rest expansion. The base game is incredible. It's set on a Scottish oil rig in 1975. It's a first-person horror story that trades weapons for panic, atmosphere, and, disaster, basically. But yeah, you're just a worker trying to survive as something impossible starts tearing through this rig. It is tight, focused, and genuinely unsettling. It's a kind of horror that's not going to jump scare you. It's definitely kind of like bubbling beneath the surface. Siren's Rest, then, the DLC, the follow-up sort of, I guess, it's set over a decade later, with a dive team returning to uncover what really happened. It doesn't quite hit the same highs. The tension isn't as sharp, and the pacing feels, it's just not quite as good. But it is an interesting addition still. If you love the original, I'd still recommend checking it out. And taken as a bundle, I think it's a solid package. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is 25% off a brand new low on a game that knows exactly what it wants to be. It probably won't win you over with that in mind if you didn't get on with the first one, but for everyone else, this is just incredible. It's a bigger, more confident version of the original with deeper systems, sharper writing, and a world that feels lived in down to that smallest detail. Now here you are still Henry, still scraping your way through a brutal 15th century kind of civil war, but everything around you just feels better now. Visually as well, it's stunning. The forest, the villages, the taverns, it looks and sounds like a real place. And the game doesn't rush you at all. You'll spend hours picking up side quests, learning trades, or just messing with the locals for the fun of it. The combat, it's fine. It's still going to be, I guess, a little tough to get hands on with initially. But once you do get used to it, the pacing of it and the weight of these weapons, it very much makes sense. And yeah, it's just about settling into that rhythm, because this game, honestly, incredibly recommended by me. I don't think it's like anything else on PlayStation. Metaphor ReFantazio is 40% off a brand new low for what I'd honestly call one of the best games of last year. It's from the team behind Persona 5, and this isn't just a spin on the formula. I think it's almost a full reinvention. A dense, politically charged fantasy world. It's got layered turn-based combat and some of the best presentation in the genre. It is incredibly confident, it's creative, and it's completely its own thing. The setup, though, is a prince is murdered, and basically this kingdom enters chaos. There's now this kind of like battle sort of for the throne. Incredibly sharp writing, though, really like deep, and the tone is actually darker than you might expect. There's kind of real weight behind the world building, the conversations, but it also never drags. The combat then is classic Atlas, but a tiny bit deeper thanks to this system where you can shift your team's roles, and it allows you to experiment constantly, mix classes, adjust strategy, build towards something that feels very much yours. Finally, visually, masterpiece. Nothing else looks like it. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is 10% off, and this is a masterpiece that's gained a ton of love and attention for good reason. Now, it's set in a surreal French-inspired fantasy world. The story centers on the Paintress, this defined figure that wakes up once a year and basically kills people from existence based on their age. And yeah, you're essentially leading a desperate mission to not end this cycle once and for all. The story, though, delivery is genuinely beautiful. It's very quiet at times. It's very emotionally sharp. It can be almost poetic. And the voice acting, that just adds so much weight to its delivery. The combat then blends turn-based structure with real-time elements. And yeah, really good fun building out your strategy in combat, positioning the team, the resource management. It's very intuitive. It's almost like stripped back in ways, but it really works. It's really satisfying and visually gorgeous in design, architecture, the brushwork, almost textures. And look, you can see the lower budget ends in animation and polish. For me, it just never broke that spell. I, like many, expect this to be voted Game of the Year and more than deserved. And that is the video down. We've got more than a few of these planned for this massive summer PSN sale, so do watch out for those. If you did enjoy it again, then hit subscribe. It helps out a channel like this a huge amount. And yeah, I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers all.